Right, hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new lesson. Today we're talking about hitting those crisp, solid struck iron shots and stop hitting the ground before it. I'm going to give you two ways and two things that you can use to make sure that we're getting that strike. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to put myself under a little bit of pressure in front of you guys. We're going to give it a test and see if I can actually pull the shot off and hit it into this green at the third hole on the earth course at the Jumeirah course that is absolutely surrounded by bunkers, so it's going to take a little bit of pressure for me and a little bit of nuts to do it. Let's see if we can do it. Let's get into the lesson. Okay, so the two things that you're going to need for either of these drills to actually see that we're going to get the ball then turf strike are an alignment cane or a Sharpie marker pen. I'm going to give you a drill for both of them, because what we need to understand is how our lead wrist works in this video. This is what it's all about, and how the relationship between the club head and our hands affects the shaft lean. Because one of the big things that I would tend to see from people who are hitting the ground before would be that they have a shaft lean that is leaning away from the target. So you would see here now that my hands are actually behind the club head and we're getting this shaft leaning away from the target. So that's going to cause me to bottom out early, catch the ground, it feels horrible, the ball doesn't go anywhere, and it's not the shot we want. So we need to change it. We need to have a different relationship. We need to see that the hands would be in front of the club head and we would get the shaft leaning towards the target from the grip towards the head, meaning that I would get ball then turf. This also is as well if we've got good body movement in terms of my weight working towards my lead foot and actually rotating into a good finish. So if you've got that already, make sure you have. If you haven't, check out the channel, just search for Matt Fryer weight shift and you'll find it. It's not about this, which I need to do, but we'll actually find a good weight pressure drill. So let's get stuck into the first one, and what we're going to do is use an alignment cane. And I got this drill from one of the other coaches down at Trafford Golf Centre, Pete, and he always talks about winning the race, and I'm thinking, well, we're not running anywhere when we're playing golf. Why is he on about winning this race? And what he's talking about is the hands beating the club head. Like I said a moment ago, what we see from a lot of amateurs is that if we had the cane in the middle of the body and we thought of this as our finish line, what we would now see is that when we come to impact, the club head in the photo finish is passing the finish line first. So we get that thin contact, or we get the ground first, and it's not what we want. What we want to try and feel, and a great way to do it, is that if you're having some slow practice swings and you're using this as a visual aid, this line now, you want to swing up, and as you're coming down to where the ball would be, we want to see now that my hands have passed the finish line first, not the head and leaving the hands behind. I get my hands through the finish line here. And as I do that from this camera angle now, we'll notice that my body's starting to turn and it looks a little bit different to this one where I throw the club and let the club head pass that hands. And notice now what's happening with my lead wrist, so my left wrist as a left-handed golfer. Instead of it being cupped in this manner, what we see is it goes into a bowed position. So I know people talk about Dustin Johnson at the top, but we want to get it more towards the bottoms, the more important part. Here, when we get to impact, if we're winning the race, it is impossible to do so with a cupped left wrist. We would always see that we get this bowed left wrist, and it's almost a feeling of hitting it a little bit lower. If you get it right, you actually won't do. The ball will pop up a little bit more up into the sky because of a good strike, but when you're winning the race with the handle, it'll feel like you're hitting a low shot. So have 4 or 5 practice swings with the the cane in between the middle of the body, the ball just slightly forwards. Then when you're confident, I want you to go ahead and hit one and see that you're actually getting this position and able to win the race. Let's just give this a little go and then we'll have a look at the second one for you. And a really crisp strike there, if we could pick that up on the microphone. And what we'll notice is that the divot is actually about 1.5 inches after the line here. So we can see divot, then the line, and that is a great way for you to not only win the race but strike your balls correctly. Let's take a look at the second thing that you need to do to get that good strike on the golf ball first. Before we get into the second tip, guys, hit that subscribe button for me down below. I want you to get better at golf, and you're going to do that by joining me for your free lessons here on the channel every week. Let's get into it. So this is a great drill, and if you really want to wind someone up as well, when you're using the Sharpie pen, just take the lid off it. Don't tell them that I told you to do them, but they'll have a nice little doodle all over their lead forearm as you're doing it. We're going to slot it down the glove like so here. So we can see now that it's there. And what the aim of this drill is to do, if I cup my lead wrist, notice how the pen starts to hit my forearm. So I'm trained then to keep it away and keep this bowed left wrist position. So again, I'd leave my cane there, I'd adapt the second feeling, and as we take our address, it might just be pushing in, but as you come down, you want to move it off. And notice now how here we have got the pen away from the forearm. So we see the pen's away, and I'm getting that winning race position again, all by feeling this. So we would swing up to the top, it would probably feel like it's on it, then on the way down I'm making an effort to move the pen away from my lead forearm. If you don't, like I say, you're going to have all those nice little drawings over your forearm. So I would have some swings going through it, and it's a great thing to do this really slowly. If you can get the feeling, because that's ultimately what we're changing, we're trying to get away from the cupped wrist position where I feel the pen pressing against the back of my hand and my forearm. If I do it nice and slowly, it's a totally different sensation, and I feel really stretched in this lead forearm and this lead wrist here. So I'd have 3 or 4 practice swings where I'm making these swings and I'm getting the ball, then turf, and I'm winning that race every time. If you want to, you can leave it in when you hit, but if you're getting comfortable and you've had 4 or 5 practice swings, we can then take it off and then again go through it, trying to recreate those feelings. Let's see if we can hit another one here and get it with a good crisp strike. Oh, and if we pick that one up, that was absolutely crushed. That felt so good. Go on then, go in the hole. I'm a bit annoyed that that isn't my test shot, because it's about 3 feet away. So we're gonna hop into the test here, guys. Let's see if I can put those 2 things into play and replicate that shot again. Okay, so we'll take the cane away. I'm going to try and replicate those 2 feelings. So I've got my hands winning the race, and I've got the feeling of the pen not touching my lead forearm. If I can get that, I should see that I get my ball, then turf strike. Guys, if you've enjoyed this video, do hit the like button for me. Hit the like button as well if you think I'm going to ace this test now. Subscribe as normal. Straight down the flag. Not bad front edge, the tiniest little bit heavy there, so I need to keep working on those things. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you in your next lesson.